Frank Lampard versus Barcelona. Well, are we really going to lose this? Come on now. Good to see you guys again. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Line CV, and welcome to the match review of our 2-1 win against Barcelona. In today's match review, I will be talking about tactics. I'll be talking about why our pressing was so effective against Barcelona. I'll be talking about standout players today, from Jorginho to Mason to Pewdie to Tammy. I can go on, plus a lot more. However, before I get into anything, today's video is brought to you by the OneFootball app. And if you guys download the OneFootball app right now, you'll be able to access all the stats from our 2-1 win over Barcelona. If you want to vote for who your man of the match was, you can do that as well. The OneFootball app is the most convenient app to have. You guys will find this in the link in the description below. And so far, my analysis of the 4-2-3-1 under Frank Lampard, it does make a lot of sense. And there's one thing that I noticed the most, and that's speed. And that's one thing that Lampard has been really trying to stress to us fans for a while now. It's speed. It's speed of how you use the ball. It's speed of how quickly you win the ball back. It's speed of how quickly you get tight to your opponent, etc, etc. And when you have speed in your play, it means that you have space when you play. And when you have space, it makes it easier to find you, and that's how you're able to get goals. And I'll give you one example so I don't get into too much detail. How many times did we see cut-back crosses from Aspie? How many times did we see cut-back crosses from Emerson? That only happens due to space. It's because the fullbacks are in the area where they're receiving the ball quickly, and because the space is opened between the lines, and constantly we saw about 3 players hovering between the lines at all times, it meant that there was an opportunity to play cut-back crosses. And this is why we were able to get so many opportunities against Barcelona. Now, when it came to Tammy Abraham today, I thought that he imposed himself very well against Mtiti and PK. I thought that he held up the ball well, he worked very hard, he got in their faces, he pressed well, he ran the channels too, and he was very intelligent. And you could tell that him and Mason have played before. I thought their combinations were decent at times, and I was very happy that Tammy scored the goal he did. Tammy is someone not to sleep on. I've been stressing this time and time again. Some people seem to think that because a striker doesn't have 4-star skill moves, they're not good enough. Hey, this ain't FIFA, this is real life. And I really feel that Tammy may be that final piece up front we've needed for a while now. He does complement what Lampard's trying to do. He complements his teammates as well, and I'm really looking forward to see how he develops for this season. Pulisic as well. Oh, he's very exciting. I mean, the close control, the way in which he runs with the ball at full speed with the ball glued to his foot. I love that. I love to see that ability in wingers, and that's what separates the good ones from the best ones. And I think with Pulisic, you know, very dynamic, fast performance, good skills as well. He's going to develop. He is going to get better. There are times where in the final third, maybe when it came to having shots on goal, which the exciting thing was he created for himself. You like to hope that he tests the goalkeeper, but I think with more experience, that's going to be something he gets over, and I'm happy to see what Pulisic is doing. Moving on to Jorginho and Cover, and I'm starting to understand why a 4-2-3-1 is being used. As I keep saying, as I said at the start, speed is important, and one way in which you can help with the speed of play is to have players in positions where they occupy the full pitch. So for example, imagine you're a Jorginho by yourself as a defensive midfield player, you know, on your left is the fullback and the right back. Imagine how massive the distances are. Lampard likes his teams to focus their passes out wide. He likes to use width when it comes to breaking teams down, and to do justice to this style of play, you need to have speed there, and to help with this, it makes sense to have 2 midfield players in the pivot. Passing is much quicker because the distances between all these players isn't too far. And this is what really helps Jorginho a lot, because he's not someone that can occupy all that ground and space by himself. Same thing for Cover. They can't do that. But in the meantime, because there's no Kante or Ruben, this pivot style midfield seems to be the most effective complementary midfield for the team right now. It's looking exciting, it's looking good, and I was saying in my tweet before, for people that follow me on Blue Line TV, I mean, make sure you follow me on Twitter. That's at Nini FC. Now, I'm going to talk about all things tactics, and I think the first immediate thing that really stuck out to me was just how fantastic our pressing game was. And there were so many reasons for this. Now, one thing that I do want to stress upon immediately, and it's one thing I constantly say on my channel, is that we need to respect the instincts of players. You know, a lot of times we seem to think that players can just do, they can play any role, they can do anything if you put them anywhere. It doesn't work like that. A lot of times when you have players that suit and complement the system and tactics because they have the same instincts, that's how you get a better team. And when you have Mason Mount, and my God, I tweeted it earlier, Mason Mount makes me feel tired when he's running. I mean, honestly, he's so dynamic, he's so aggressive, he gets really tight to his opponents as well to force that mistake. You know, you can't coach a player to have that type of work ethic. You can't do it. It has to come from the player's instincts himself, and that's what you get from Mason Mount. It's the same thing with Tammy. I've been saying his mentality is top class. It's his mentality that will make him become a top class striker if that does happen, and I feel very confident he will. I mean, just his overall game. I mean, he was playing alongside Umtiti and PK. The amount of times he was holding the ball off, he used his strength very well, he got him behind, linked up very well. And what I liked about Tammy was that he was so willing to be an outlet for passes. A lot of times he'd be dropping deeper, getting in front of PK or Umtiti to make sure that obviously he could help link up the play and progress the play on top of that as well. And you know, it's great to see. And on top of that, you've got Mr. Pulisic himself, you know, the pacing behind, the work ethic as well. He was getting tight, he was pressing hard, and you know, he's a product of the Dortmund academy. It's clear to see he's used to playing a style of you know, counter pressing football, and just by adding these three players into the team, it's really helps improve our pressing game even more. Now again, of course, when it came to pressing, you know, it's very similar to what we've seen from Sarri. Of course, Mason Mount leads the line alongside with Tammy. And then once that happens, that's when it's the back force cue to push up. So they get very high. Christensen moving up here, Aspie moving up as well. And we turn into a very compact 4-4-2 team. And the whole point is to obviously keep your shape in the central areas here. Make it very congested. Obviously, you're hoping to outman your opponents as well. And on top of that, what you want to do is you want to force your opponents to make passes out wide. Because the whole point is that it's like a trap in that sense. The minute Barcelona were trying to play out from the wide areas, it was easy for guys like an Emerson to, you know, push very aggressively upfield to help close down the spaces and get tight to his man. Same thing for Aspie, and time again in that first half, Barcelona just couldn't cope with the press. And that came down to the players' application. It also came down to a lot of these guys working under Sarri last season, where some things are very similar from a tactical point of view. And third, obviously, the application from the players that shows. So it was a great first half performance. And for me, honestly, this was our best performance this pre-season. Now, I want to talk about some of the tactics against our opposition and why we were just so effective in the first half. Now, I did tell you guys before that the use of our play in the half spaces was always going to be crucial because, you know, with Barcelona and their lack of pace in midfield at times, you know, you want to force their wide midfielders back to have to cover. And of course, by doing that, it means that, you know, they did find it hard to get the balls to the front three at times. You know, every now and then, because it is Barcelona, they were able to play through our press. And, you know, they were finding some nice combinational play. I mean, you know, Dembele, Peachy, whatever his name's called. Sorry, you guys. Moving more in field to link up with Griezmann. This allowed their fullbacks to push high and wide as well. And then they tried to get their possession game up and going. And, you know, when this did happen, we did revert back deeper. We did turn into a 4-5-1 team. And of course, as you can see, we did outnumber them in midfield. And that was the plan. You know, the plan was to keep our shape very compact and congested together, because we know Barcelona like to play infield. They like to play narrow. So it does make it easier and safer to defend when the entire team is compact with each other. This meant that, of course, Barca had times where they did play through our defensive shape, but they had to do a lot of madness, like a lot of 1-2 touches and passes to get that happening. And what their plan was to keep the ball on one side and then find a free man. So that was either Jordi Alba on the left, or they would use Ousmane Dembele down the right hand side with Sergio Roberto moving more in field to keep that width there. But you know, the amount of times they were able to find those wide options was very rare. It wasn't happening constantly. Now, when it came to us breaking down Barcelona, I was speaking earlier about how we were pressing them, Mason Mount being very crucial, really closing down Busquets quite a lot, as well as guys like Jorginho on cover that really put in a big shift today. And obviously, Jorginho getting his first unofficial assist for us, obviously winning the ball back from Busquets. It was obviously slow and tired, and you know, Barcelona, it is their first game this pre-season, so it is understandable, but wins the ball back, plays it to Tammy here, rounds the goalkeeper into Stegen, and puts in the back of the net. And Barca just couldn't cope with the pressing at all. You know, it was a bit too much. We played with a lot of intensity playing this style. We kept getting Barcelona to force their passes in field to make it even more congested than it needed to be. And of course, with us playing a high line and with the lack of defensive support from their wide players, it meant that we were able to overrun them in midfield time and time again. And a lot of times we were winning the ball in these tight areas, you know, winning it off from their midfield players, then using the pace of a Pulisic to make runs in behind. Same thing with Pedro. And honestly, in the first half, we should have got more than one goal. We created some decent opportunities, and it does make you think if our finishing boots was on point in that first half. But the one final thing I will say too is that, of course, using a high line, it meant that we used a mid-block pressing system instead. So a lot of times when we were off the ball, we weren't going deep towards our goal. We were staying just behind the halfway line, keeping our shape, and obviously congesting the pitch even more, forcing Barca to make those passes out wide. And of course, it's going to be very hard where you're getting outmanned already, and then a fullback is going to run and press their man. This is why we had so much joy against Barcelona. So it was a very good first half. And on that note, you guys, I think that's enough for me when it comes to talking tactics. Now, moving into the second half, and energy levels naturally did dip because the guys were working so hard already. A lot of substitutions came on top of that as well. Barcelona, most importantly, improved by introducing Frankie de Jong, Elena, all these press-resistant players, Rakitic as well. And, you know, when you combine tired players closing down some of the best players when it comes to being press-resistant, naturally Barcelona were able to find joy. They found a lot of joy between the lines, and we could see that through all the long shots they kept taking. Now, that's one area I'd like to see us improving. We weren't tight enough. When Kante comes, he's going to definitely help us in those areas. But again, it was a bit worrying in the sense that Barca had so many opportunities on goal from distance. Now, I'm guessing a lot of that is due to fitness concerns. That is going to get better. It's only going to improve. So again, it's just an observation for now. I'm not really worried too much yet. Still though, Lampard did introduce the B team in that sense. Ross Barkley playing in the hole with two hardy mids behind him. Kennedy on the right hand side. Mitchell on the left with Giroud up front. And I want to talk about Ross Barkley briefly. I've been telling you guys for a very long time now. He's a guy that does well in space. Now that he has Lampard, a manager that is a fan of adapting to the strengths of the players and their needs, it's really seeming to help Barkley right now. The way he took his goal, it reminded me of something he'd do at Everton when he was young. Now, for you guys that think that I'm just a blind Barkley hater, I'm not. I used to really like him when he was young. I used to like how he played. One of my favourite goals is the goal he scored against Newcastle. You know, that's what I like from Ross. And if that can come back, things become interesting. That's what I'm saying. They do become interesting. He took that goal very well with his left foot on target, which is what I want to see. Kennedy, the last player I want to touch upon. Listen, his use of the ball at times ain't amazing, but his work rate, the energy, and you can see that confidence is slowly returning to the player. He just wanted to score a goal today. Every opportunity from the right hand side, his best position. He was cutting in, looking to hulk it into the top left corner. That's going to come. Lampard sees something he likes, and one thing that's going to help Kennedy get to the goals he wants to reach is that his mentality is on point. Of course, great goal by Rakuten in the end. No surprise that he scored from a long shot. Kepa did very well today, but as time goes on, the team will get more used and suited to this style of football. So I'm still feeling very confident right now, you guys. I mean, a 2-1 win against Barcelona is something that's going to put confidence into the fans. I know there's been some doubts from the fan base in regards to whether Lampard is ready tactically. Of course he is. I mean, I don't even know why that's a debate. But again, this performance is going to give confidence in the fan base. I'm looking forward to the next games to come as well, you guys. Thank you for watching. I'm going to keep things moving now. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lines TV. Signing out.